In the summer of 1945, the Empire of Japan stood on the edge of destruction. Its armies were broken, its cities burned, and its people starving. Yet even as the world demanded surrender, Japan prepared to fight to the last breath. This is the story of the final days of the Pacific War, Japan's last stand.
By 1945, the Pacific War had raged for nearly 4 years. Japan's empire, once stretching across Southeast Asia and the Pacific, was crumbling. The Allied island-hopping campaign had retaken the Philippines, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa, each battle bloodier than the last. For the Japanese High Command, surrender was unthinkable. Their code, Bushigo, the way of the warrior, demanded death before dishonor. For America, invasion was inevitable. The next target, the Japanese homeland. The operation's name was Downfall, and the cost was expected to be catastrophic. Over 1 million Allied casualties, and perhaps 10 times as many Japanese. From March to August 1945, American bombers brought hell from the skies. General Curtis LeMay's B-29 super fortresses launched nightly raids on Japanese cities, not with precision, but with fire. Tokyo burned first. In a single night, March 9, 1945, more than 100,000 civilians were killed in a firestorm that devoured everything. Osaka, Nagoya, Kobe, all reduced to ash. By the summer, over 60 Japanese cities lay in ruins, yet still, the government refused to surrender. Emperor Hirohito, isolated within his palace, watched his empire vanish in smoke. But the Americans had one more weapon, something the world had never seen before.
August 6, 1945. At 8:15 a.m., a single B-29 bomber, Enola Gay, flew over the city of Hiroshima. Inside was a bomb unlike any ever used. Little Boy. At precisely 8:16, the bomb detonated 600 meters above the city. In less than a second, 80,000 people were vaporized. Another 60,000 would die from burns and radiation. The city simply ceased to exist. The world had entered a new age, the atomic age. Yet even then, Japan did not surrender. Some military leaders believed it was a bluff, or that dying as a nation was more honorable than submission. 3 days later, on August 9th, a second bomb, Fat Man, fell on the city of Nagasaki. Another 70,000 lives lost in an instant. That same day, the Soviet Union declared war on Japan and invaded Manchuria, crushing Japan's last army on the mainland. The war was over. The only question was, who would say it? Within the imperial palace, divided voices argued through the night. Some generals demanded one final battle, a defense of the homeland. Others knew resistance meant annihilation. For the first time, Emperor Hirohito broke his silence. He said, "The time has come to bear the unbearable." On August 15, 1945, the emperor's voice was broadcast to the nation, the first time his people had ever heard him speak. The Empire of Japan had surrendered. When the surrender was announced, some soldiers wept in disbelief. Others took their own lives,
unable to accept defeat. Across Japan, cities lay in ruins. More than 3 million Japanese had died in the war. Soldiers, civilians, women, children. The Allies occupied the country, dismantled its war machine, and began rebuilding from the ashes. For the first time in history, Japan would no longer be ruled by emperors, but by peace. The United States rebuilt Japan through compassion instead of vengeance. Within a generation, the nation would rise again, not as a conqueror, but as a creator.
The end of World War II was not only the fall of an empire, it was the end of an age of total war. Hiroshima and Nagasaki became symbols of both tragedy and rebirth. And Japan's transformation from a devastated empire to a nation of peace stands as one of history's greatest miracles. The war began in fire and ended in silence. But from that silence came a lesson the world must never forget. Thank you for watching. This was Japan's Last Stand, the final days of the Pacific War. Subscribe for the next episode in our Echoes of Empire series, where we uncover the stories that shaped our world.